Vanakkam. Welcome to our course on SAP Materials Management. In this session, we will discuss Purchasing Info Record. Purchasing Information Record defines the relationship between a vendor and a material, which is important for purchasing process. The information supplied by vendor or from the contract is entered into the Purchasing Info Record. Maintaining proper data in Purchasing Info Records reduces the length of the procurement process. That is, a purchase order can be generated from the information in Purchase Info Record, thus reducing manual data input. Not only materials, but services offered by suppliers also can be defined by material group rather than a specific material, and so this information can be entered into Purchasing Info Record. Purchasing Info Record contains information details like purchasing group, net price, invoice verification indicators, delivery tolerances, and other details. Before going to the session, let us discuss the answers for the quizzes of previous session. Who can be defined as business partner? A business partner can be a person or a group of personnel or an organization having some interest in the company's business. This may be a supplier, vendor, customer, or it may be an individual and maybe an employee, right? Individual means maybe employee. What is the transaction to create business partner? Transaction to create business partner is BP. What is the relevance of transactions MK01 and SK01 in S4HANA? In S4HANA, SK01 and MK01 do not have any relevance. Even if we use these transactions, system will bring us to the transaction BP. What are the three categories of data maintained in business partner? So details in the business partner are divided into three categories from procurement point of view. One is general data, and then business partner as FI vendor, and then purchasing data. What is the significance of vendor account group? A vendor account group is a way of grouping the vendors with the same number range and with the same attributes entered. The account group is defined to allocate certain fields to be seen and maintained on the vendor master. So what is one-time vendor record? How is it different from regular vendors? A one-time vendor record is used for a vendor that is used rarely to buy some materials sometime a while. A one-time vendor record can be created the same way using the transaction BP, but the difference will be using the special account group. One-time vendor records do not usually contain any significant data about or the bank details about that one-time vendor. Who is responsible to create the business partner? From procurement point of view, purchase and account teams are responsible. From finance point of view, sales and account teams are responsible. But as a best practice is suggested that accounting team has to be given primary responsibility to create the business partners with the support from purchase team and sales team having the relevant details. What is reconciliation account? The reconciliation account is an individual general ledger account. It is recorded in the line item in detail, the subledger, and also it is summarized in the general ledger. For further clarifications, please discuss with your accounting team member. What is dunning? Dunning relates to the remainders which are sent to the suppliers for the delivery of the material from the purchase orders. At which organization level purchasing data are maintained in business partner? In business process master, purchasing data are maintained at the purchase organization level. After completing discussions on material master and business partner, now we are discussing on purchasing info record in this session. In vendor master, that is the business partner, and the material master records, we maintain specific information about that particular vendor and material. In purchasing info record, we maintain the information about the relationship between the vendor and the materials. The purchase info record contains one-to-one relationship. It is a one-to-one relationship between the vendor and the material. Purchase info record contains concise information on vendor and the material where a company is procuring. If one vendor is supplying three different materials, then system has to create three info records. Similarly, if three vendors supply the same material, then we need to have three different information records. A purchasing info record is an important source for information for the buyer when who is buying it, so enabling the person to determine through the list displays which vendor offers specific material and which materials can be procured from specific vendor. We can store and contain a lot of details in the info records like current and future prices and conditions, delivery data like planned delivery time tolerance, and vendor details like contact details, text details, those kind of things. When we create purchasing documents like purchase orders or contracts, the system displays the data which are maintained in the info record as a default value. Purchasing info records are maintained at different organization levels like client level, purchase organization level, and plant level. Purchasing organization records have general data, purchase organization data, and plant data. When you create a purchase order, the system searches for valid information record for the purchase organization and the plant combination. If there is no such information record exists, then system will search for the information related to purchase organization. So now let us discuss about one important point, that is the conditions which are used in purchasing. This is used in purchasing info record and other processes also. So we are discussing this before going to details of purchasing info record because this is one of the important part in the creation of purchasing info record. There are three types of purchasing info records used in purchasing. That is the conditions in the contract. Conditions in the contract apply to all contract release orders created with respect to the contract. Then we have conditions in purchase info record. They apply to all purchase orders created with the material which is reference to the particular purchase info record. And then all the extended conditions. Extended conditions are only included in the purchase order if they meet certain criteria. For example, we can use extended conditions to define vendor discounts or include discounts for a material type. Extended conditions are more flexible than conditions in info records or contracts, in that we define which criteria must be met if the conditions are to apply for purchase orders. Condition procedures are more commonly used in sales and distribution, and the same condition processes are also used in purchasing. A condition procedure in purchasing is used to calculate the purchase price by processing all relevant pricing factors. By using defined conditions, the purchasing process arrives at a determined price for purchasing transactions like purchase orders. Condition processing is made up of four distinct areas: calculation schemas, condition types, access sequence, and condition tables. And here condition table types represent the pricing dynamics in the system. This allows condition types for absolute and percentage discounts, freight cost, duty, and taxes. Through the condition type, the buyer can see how the price is calculated in the purchasing documents. Some examples of the condition types are like PB00 gross price, FRA1 freight, ZI00 discount, ZC00 custom duty, like this. Now let us discuss about pricing conditions. The pricing conditions allow a purchasing user to enter details into the system about the pricing agreements negotiated with the vendor. The contractual agreements may include discounts, surcharge, agreed freight costs, and other pricing arrangements. The buyer can enter any of these conditions in a purchasing document, such as quotation, outline agreement, or purchasing info record. These conditions are used in the purchase orders to determine the prices. So these are pricing conditions. So now the pricing conditions, there is a time dependent conditions. Time-dependent conditions allow a purchase user to introduce validity period and also the scales, that is economies of scales in the info record. A pricing scale is based on quantity, meaning if the buyer is buying more quantity, the supplier will give more discount. That means less price. A purchasing user can create condition records with graduated scales also. A pricing scale can be created using the many criteria like quantity, value, gross weight, net weight, volume, etc. The purchasing department can create a rate for each level of the scale. Time-dependent conditions are always used in purchasing info records and contracts. Then we have time-independent conditions. Time-independent conditions do not include any pricing scale or validity periods. The purchase, for example, purchase orders, we have only time-independent periods. Please note that quotations and scheduling agreements can include both type of conditions, that is time-independent and time-dependent conditions. Now let us come to the purchase info record. So there are four types of purchasing info records: standard purchasing info record, subcontracting purchasing info record, pipeline purchasing info record, and consignment purchasing info record. Standard purchasing info record contains information supplied by vendor for a specific material or group of materials. And then subcontracting process, it involves the price of the operations performed by the supplier. Here it is used when the order is a subcontracting order. In manufacturing plants, a metal being produced may require some outside service like a heat treatment, painting, or some partial assembly. The work may be performed by a subcontractor. The price that subcontractor charges for the work is included in the purchasing the subcontracting info record. Pipeline materials, examples like electricity, water, oil, which are supplied by the utility vendors, they are used by the customer through pipeline withdrawals. The pipeline purchasing info record reflects information for this vendor metal combination. With the pipeline materials, the system assumes that material will always be available and the company will only pay for what it consumes. And then when a vendor supplies the metal to be stored in customer's site for customer withdrawal, the purchasing department can create consignment purchasing info record for that material. Like most of the master data, purchase info record is arranged with a structure. It contains general data, purchase organization data, and the purchase organization and the plant combination data. General data is valid for every purchasing organization or every plant. General data contains vendor's material number, remainder data, order unit, etc. Purchase organization and purchase organization plant both have the details like prices, conditions, delivery time, minimum quantity, gross price, freight discount, price history, etc. There is possibility to configure whether conditions are permitted at plant level. We can have it or we cannot have it. So when we create purchase order, system searches for info record for the purchase organization plant combination. If there is no such info record, system will search for the purchasing info record, purchasing organization level data only. So we have to take care of it. There are many options to create purchase info record. We can maintain purchase info records manually or automatically from quotations, purchase orders, or outline agreements. To create purchase info record, use transaction ME11 or the path which is shown here. Enter the details like a vendor code, which we discussed while extending FI vendor of business partner. Then what is the material we are going to buy and the purchase organization and plant. Also, select the type of purchasing info record for which we are going to buy this material. So here we are going to select standard type. We are in the general data screen. The general data screen is valid for either a material vendor purchasing info record or for a material group vendor purchasing info record. The remainder fields like first remainder or expediter, second remainder expediter, or third remainder expediter contain the number of days that urging letters or emails can be sent to the vendor for the material. Negative numbers indicate the message should be sent prior to the delivery date. Positive numbers indicate the message should be sent after the date. The supplier subrange or vendor subrange can be used to subdivide a vendor's products into different ranges. For example, if a vendor is an office supply company, the vendor subranges can be media, paper products, ink products, etc. Vendor subrange sort number allows the vendor subranges to have different values, which can be used to create sort sequences. When we create purchase order, that vendor subrange sort number from purchasing information record will be used to sequence the metal in the purchase order. For example, if computer media are a sort number of 40, sort number for ink products is 24, then the ink products will be sequenced before the computer media products in the PO. It is to bring a proper arrangement in the purchase order. The point system can be used when the purchasing department has negotiated a subsequent settlement or rebate arrangement with a vendor. The points field in the purchasing info record allows a purchasing user to enter the number of points recorded each time a certain value of the material is ordered. The number of points is recorded for the amount ordered rather than the value ordered. At the end of the rebate period, number of points accumulated determines value of the rebate from the vendor. So let us discuss with an example. Material sheet 1 costs $100 per ton from supplier A, whereas the metal steel 2 costs $5 per ton. The supplier A grants a rebate of 3% on total business volume at the end of the year if the material is worth at least 100,000 points were ordered from him during the course of the year. In the case of the metal steel 1, that vendor will be awarding 10 points for every ton ordered. In case of steel 2, he is awarding 20 points for each material. So whenever we issue the purchase orders, then we can account how many tons of steel 1, how many tons of steel 2 are ordered to reach this 100,000 points, so that we will be qualified for the respective volume rebate. That is what the purpose of these points. Very useful field. And then regular vendor. Regular vendor is used by the system during source determination. This vendor is who you regularly buy a product metal regularly. You can set the regular vendor indicator in the general data of purchasing info record. Only one purchasing info record for each metal can be designated as the regular vendor. Next, we will be discussing creation of purchasing info record without metal number. Here, by simply entering a vendor in the initial screen, we can create the purchase info record. This type of purchase info record is created for subcontracting and external operations. The purchasing info record will be valid for the vendor and a metal group, which is mandatory entry for the general data screen. Entering a description for the purchasing info record that describes the metal group, entering the purchase info information is mandatory. The description allows a purchasing user to describe the service that the vendor will provide for the materials entered in the metal group. After general data has been entered, the next screen for the purchasing organization data is appearing. There are many fields shown here, but also you can find the business partner, the details which are coming from business partner, they are all appearing. But the information entered in the purchasing info record will be specific to the vendor metal combination and will be used in purchasing documents. Information info record will override the materials maintained in metal master or business process master. Also here we see agreed price details. Confirmation control key helps to update the status of purchase order as and when we get the details from supplier, like order acknowledgement, shipping notification, etc. Configuration to be done to use this field. Tax code will be assigned as applicable to a vendor material combination. Make sure that you set the automatic sourcing in the info record. By selecting this checkbox in the info record, the system takes the info record into consideration when creating purchasing requisitions during the planning run. Next, system will bring us to the purchasing organization 2 screen. Here we capture the quotation number given by the supplier. Please note that this field is for information only. It is not evaluated by system anywhere. Quotation validity date is the date of the supplier's quotation on the basis of which purchase info record was created. The quotation is valid from this date onwards. This is also information purpose only. Next, we need to enter details on conditions. Already we discussed in detail about conditions. Just to refresh, conditions are stipulations agreed with the vendor concerning prices, discounts, surcharges, etc. The effective net price in purchasing order is determined on the basis of these conditions. You can maintain conditions when you create quotations, info records, outline agreements, or purchase orders. Conditions in info records, contracts, and external conditions are time-dependent conditions. Conditions in purchase orders are time-independent conditions. Time-dependent conditions are also available for quotations and scheduling agreements. If we set the time-dependent conditions indicator in the document type in the configuration. Extended conditions will provide the option of specifying time-dependent conditions. Independent of conditions, independent of outline agreements and info records. Then we have time-dependent conditions which can be restricted to certain period of validity. For example, vendor prices varying according to the quantity. You can enter the pricing data in the form of price and quantity scale. And we can enter the conditions in the document header or in the item details. Item conditions apply to one item only. Header conditions apply to all the items in the document. Now we are in the condition screen. The conditions entered in a purchase info record are valid for certain period. Here we see a from date and to date, which is from 5th August to 31st December. So these are valid for the period, right? We see the condition types like a PPR 0, purchase price $5, and also FEA1, freight value $10. That $5 of purchasing price, please take note, it is $5 per 100 pieces. Okay, and also all these details are applicable for the material SGMC comp 046 and vendor 1730033 for the period from the 5th August to the 31st December. So here we see all the details. What is the validity period, to which material, to which vendor, what is the price, all those details are entered here in the conditions page. Earlier we discussed on economy of scale. That is, when the quantity is increasing, price may be negotiated with the supplier to reduce it. Scaling is when a discount from vendor is not a blanket percentage, but it is changing depending on the amount which we order. For example, if purchase order for a quantity up to 100 units, vendor could give at the price of $5 per unit. For quantity from 101 to 999, he might offer at $4.5 per unit. From 1000 to 4999 units, that is up to 5000 units, vendor may offer at $4.2 per unit. For 5000 and above, he may offer at $4 per unit. This is how it can be given as a scaling process. Scaling is entered by pressing the scale icon shown here for the specific period. Next, we are in the text screen. Text fields can be used to enter specific information regarding a particular purchasing info record. The relevance of the text fields can be determined in configuration. For each purchasing document, request for quotation RFQ, purchase order, contract, and so on, the text defined in master records can be prioritized. Here we see two available text fields. One is the information memo info record note, another is the purchase order text. Within a purchasing info record, a statistical information is recorded and it can be reviewed. The statistical screens can be accessed from within the general data screen by selecting extra and statistics. The statistical data screen shows a comparison between two different time periods. The statistical data reflects the information about like order quantity and invoice value, number of purchasing documents, delivery time information, delivery reliability information, quantity reliability information, etc. After entering all details, saving the information, system will create the purchasing info record, which will give the message like this. 5300000640 is created with reference to purchase organization 1710 and the plant 1710. So far we discussed what is the how to create the purchasing info record. Now let us see where does this purchasing info record available in the purchase order, because the purchase info record details are copied to purchase order automatically. That's what we discussed. Where is it available? Now we'll go to the screen of the creation of purchase order. We'll discuss it in detail later. Now you just note the transaction is ME21N, create purchase order. When we go and enter the basic details like vendor, purchase organization, purchase group, company code, and the quantity details, all these things, enter it. After entering all the basic details, the system will automatically copy as much details from the relevant purchasing info record. We can see these details in the tab, the conditions, where all the condition details what we maintain, they are brought into here. Right? We can see that price and other detail. Similarly, based on the lead time, what is defined there, whether the goods receipt is there or not, all those details would have been picked. So you can select the respective tabs and see them. Also, by clicking on the text field, we can see the text maintained in the purchasing info record, which is copied to the purchase order. So far, we created creation of purchasing requisition manually using the transaction at ME11. There are other options to maintain the purchase info record, like automatically from quotations, purchase orders, or outline agreements. In all these documents, there will be info update indicator. There will be info update indicator with the options, like if it is blank means there is no update. If A means update with or without plant, B means update with the plant, C means update without plant. By using all these, purchasing info record can be created automatically. So far we discussed about what is the purchasing info record, what are conditions, and how to maintain the purchasing info record manually and copy from the other documents. Now let us see the quizzes for this particular session. What is the relationship maintained in purchasing info record? What relationship is maintained? The vendor is supplying two materials. How many info records need to be created? What is the condition procedure? Give some examples of condition types. Which masters maintain time-dependent conditions? Which document maintains time-independent conditions? What are the different types of purchasing info records? What are the options to create purchasing info records? Can purchase info record be maintained without materials? What is the economy of a scale? How is it applied in the info record? So let us discuss the answers for these quizzes in the next session. In the next session, we will discuss in detail about source list, the next another important master data for purchasing. Meanwhile, please create the purchase info record for all purchasing items as part of the business case practice. Please take care while creating info record for subcontracting items, right? And give your feedback to improve the flow and contents of our course. Please share with your friends and colleagues to subscribe to our channel so that they also get advantage of this knowledge sharing. Thank you. See you in the next session. Take care. Bye.